Emotions.
Hey, what's up, everyone? How y'all doing? Listen, y'all, the podcast listeners are already up to 300, so go ahead and start sharing this on YouTube. Y'all podcast people, y'all saw Springfield and thought y'all would jump in here, right? So come on, y'all, in YouTube, start hitting that thumbs up button that starts the algorithm going. So let's do that. If you don't know the exact link to get them there, let them know it's www.youtube.com/Gail Dudley. What's up, Deborah Johnson? Good morning to you. What's up, Shirley Nicholson? Good morning to you. What's up, Adrian? How are you doing this morning, Sister Sardinia? Good morning to you. Now, we have way more than that, so y'all come on in here and let me know what's happening on this Thursday morning. This is our Town Hall Thursday, y'all. Today is Thursday, September 26, 2024. We have an amazing guest who I cannot wait until he comes on and share with us. I see my brother in here. Y'all, that's my biological brother, Louis Pryor III. What's up? How's that post office treating you with all that's going on with all the absentee ballots and all that? Regina Shorts, what's up? Good morning to you. Okay, y'all, it's Town Hall Thursday. Y'all know the rules. Once you all stop asking questions, the segment is over. And I'm sure you have a lot of questions for Dr. Hairston when he comes in here. But until then, let's have some fun real quick on this Thursday morning. Let's get ourselves woken up here. You had to pick one. You have to pick one. Would that be a blizzard, an earthquake, a hurricane, category 4 or higher, or tornado? You have to pick one. Go ahead and put that in the chat. Would you prefer to be in a blizzard, an earthquake, a hurricane, that's category 4 or higher, or tornado? Come on, y'all, put that in the chat. Let me know what you prefer. Again, that's a blizzard, an earthquake, a hurricane, category 4 or higher, or tornado. Deborah Johnson said blizzard. I'm with you, sister. I'm not doing anything else. I'm with you. I say blizzard too. Come on, y'all. There's more of y'all in here. Let's put that in there. Again, blizzard, earthquake, hurricane, that's a category 4 or higher, or tornado. All right, y'all, give me your comments in the chat. Those of you who are on audio, keep your eyes on the road. Y'all can come in here and hang out with us later. Shirley Nicholson says blizzard. Deborah says, I will have the fireplace going. That's what I'm talking about. My brother, Louis Pryor III, said blizzard. Listen, I think that's all of us that experiences all 4 seasons. We're like, blizzard anytime, blizzard. The reason why I asked the question, because as you all know, this is hurricane season. Regina Short says blizzard with the fireplace and a pot of chili. You had to go to the food. That's what I'm talking about. Jackie, what's up? Good morning to you. Jackie, they're just answering the question. Is it going to be a blizzard, or earthquake, or hurricane, category 4 or higher, or tornado? Lee, what's up? She says blizzard. See, I know where all of us live. We in the blizzard section. I got it. Y'all, the reason why I'm sharing that, speaking of hurricanes, fast-moving Hurricane Helene was advancing yesterday, early this morning, actually, across the Gulf of Mexico towards Florida, threatening storm surge in northwestern parts of the state, as well as damaging winds, rains, and flash floods hundreds of miles inland across much of the southeastern U.S. These are the things that the forecasters are sharing. Helene is expected to be a major hurricane, meaning a category 3 or higher when it makes landfall on Florida's northwest coast sometime this evening. I see you, Marion Jackson. As of early Thursday, hurricane warnings and flash flood warnings extended far beyond the coast up into south central Georgia. The governors of Florida, Georgia, and the Carolinas have declared emergencies in their state. I want y'all to know they are forecasting that Helene will join the 3 largest since 1988. That would be Irma from 2017, Wilma from 2005, and Opal from 1995. And they're saying Helene is already have that strength and they don't see it going anywhere before then. I see you, Judy Neal. Good morning. Judy and Marion, they're answering, would they prefer a blizzard, an earthquake, a hurricane, or a tornado? And you can only pick one. I also shared this morning because I was supposed to be leaving on my way to Atlanta, and my daughter was like, Mom, you still coming, right? And I was like, have you seen your governor? And she says, oh, Mama, she goes, I got water and I got some snacks. I ain't trying to sit there and be with you in the dark. No, we ain't doing that. They predicting that the power will be out for 72 hours. And then, of course, her dad said, you know, it's more to it than her just wanting you to come. There's more to it. And I said, I'll think about it. But then Delta's like, I don't think you're going anywhere. I was like, yes, Delta. But anyway, so that's what's happening. I thought it was very interesting. Okay, I see you, Judy Blizzard. I thought it was very interesting that, you know, people think we can just fly. I've been in 2 hurricanes. One was major, which was Hurricane Francis during a conference. Good morning, Davia. Good morning, Davia. So, yeah, that's why I asked y'all the question. You can only pick one. Blizzard, earthquake, hurricane, or tornado. And so, Dominic, if you're watching, I ain't coming this weekend, girl. You gonna be okay. So anyway, so she was like, Mom, are you still coming? Did you see the news? Your governor declared a state of emergency. I think I'm gonna stay right here in the comfort of my home. All right, y'all, other headline news. Davia said blizzard too. Y'all know where we all from. We're like, give me the blizzard. Okay, y'all, listen. New York City Mayor Eric Adams indicted on federal charges in campaign finance case. This story is still unfolding. They believe that the documents will be open later on today. Right now, they're still sealed. Y'all are coming in with this blizzard. Rosanna says blizzard. Adrian says blizzard, but yuck. Dr. Antoinette said blizzard. Hey, I'm with you. I'm with you. So, y'all, the person who spoke on the condition to discuss ongoing investigation, the indictment was not public. Again, they are hoping it will be unsealed today. And they're saying that the charges are based on lies and they were just targeting him. We don't know. We'll see. I see you, Tracy Numi. Good morning to you. Also, y'all, real quick before I get to our town hall meeting, don't forget the rules. When you stop asking questions, the segment is over. And trust me, you want to hear from Dr. Kevin Hairston today. I'm telling you, want to hear from him. Yes, Tracy Numi. 938 flights have been canceled so far. Now, I don't want to cancel my flight going to Atlanta because I want them to just give me my money back. Like when it's an act like this, you got to pay me my money back. I know the rules. And if I cancel it, it will just become e-ticket or whatever. So I got my papers over here later on. Hey, what's up, Cheryl? I got my papers over here later on to call Chase Sapphire, like, travel department, how you gonna help me out? But I'm sure Delta will cancel it, so I'm good. All right, y'all, Arizona, there's some shenanigans going on. There's Kim Edmondson in here. There are some shenanigans going on. Absentee ballot instructions for Arizona. Please pay attention. I'm begging you. If you know anybody that's in Arizona, tell them to make sure they check out this segment or go to their Secretary of State's office to get this information. Y'all, this is in collaboration with the Lincoln Project. Again, I told y'all News in Motion, Lincoln Project are doing some things together. So here it is, Arizona absentee ballot instructions. Make sure you are registered to vote by October the 7th, which means y'all do it today. Do it tomorrow. The 1st is on Tuesday. Don't wait till the 7th, y'all. Make sure you have this done before October the 1st, although your date is the 7th. Apply for absentee ballots online or pick up application in person at your local election office. They are now saying, don't wait for it to come in the mail. Okay, Arizonians, listen. Go pick up your absentee ballot from your local election office. So even if one comes in the mail later, remember, it's happening here in Ohio. Just set the second one aside. Don't shred it. Don't destroy it. Don't throw it away. So to have proof and put on the top of it, just write on the envelope, this is my second ballot. I already have one and turned it in. So y'all, please, please, please go to your local election office in Arizona to pick it up. Fill out and sign and date. They're saying there's people who are signing, but they're not putting a date on it. You have to put the date on it on this application and submit online or return by mail or in person by 5 p.m. on October 25th. Y'all, that's just way too much. So sign it as soon as you get it. Sign it. Listen, if you are at the local election office to pick it up, open it up. Go to your card. Go find a quiet place. Complete it. Take it back up there. Make sure they stamp it while you're in their presence and give you a receipt for it. Okay, come on, y'all. We gotta be smart here. Take the time to do this right. Don't wait until October 25th and if you live in Arizona. Now, some local election office will also allow you to fax the application, but then they're telling you to call and confirm that the fax has been received. Don't do that. Just go take it. Just take it. Okay, y'all? Let's get beyond this quick and easy microwave society. Y'all, these are the elections. Just take it. Just take it. Once received in Arizona, carefully follow the ballot instructions. Again, sign and date. They're saying people are not dating these things. Okay, now you also have to have your authentic signatures or it may be rejected. So you're probably saying, what? Because I do this when I go to elections. Your signature has to closely match that signature from your initial voter registration form. I know you're saying, I don't remember what that looks like, and our signature changes. Listen, can you say, can I see my last signature so I can remember, and then sign it. Do whatever you need to do. Your completed ballot must be received via mail at the address and returned or the return envelope or placed in a nearby drop box. Y'all, come on. We don't have time for these shenanigans here. Deborah Johnson says we have to check our registration to make sure it's up to date. Yes, I now check mine daily. Y'all think that's crazy? People are being purged every day. So check it. So y'all, they're saying that all signs point to another election margin that is far narrower. So it's especially important to have a specific plan for casting your vote. We talked about a lot with the vote plan yesterday. We'll talk more about it next week. Absentee voting is an easy, convenient way to vote. They're saying push that if you can. In Arizona, they're saying please, whatever you do, follow the directions. All right, y'all, one more story before what's up, Lori Jones? Lori Jones. Woo, Lori Williams-Wallace. I'm thinking of Lori Jones because I talked to her yesterday on the phone. And then Leah says, we knew there would be shenanigans. There's already shenanigans. There was a couple places where they had to stop the online voting, the absentee ballots because they left Vice President Kamala Harris's name off of it. Dr. Antoinette said they're doing the most. They are doing the most. All right, y'all, real quick, and I got to get to Dr. Hairston because this is going to be great. All right, don't forget, y'all have the rules for town hall meeting. You stop asking questions. The segment is over. All right, y'all. I don't know if we in movies or what. I don't get it. I know Los Angeles is where a lot of celebrities are, but y'all, there was a Los Angeles bus hijacking. All I could think of was that movie where the bus goes out of control. I can't think of the name of it. Y'all know what it is. And I'm thinking, is this for real? Y'all, a gunman is in custody after carrying out a Metro bus hijacking in Los Angeles, California, killing one person. Officers have not yet named the suspect or identified a motive. Yesterday at 12:45 a.m. local time, their time, police responded to reports of a bus hijacking in South Los Angeles. Official says the bus driver pressed a panic button after the suspect. I'm not laughing at that, but I'm like, is this a movie? After the suspect began pointing his gun at passengers, the button triggered a sign on the bus exterior flashing emergency and 911 called police. A police car chase lasted for over an hour with the driver held at gunpoint and officers using spike strips to stop the bus in downtown LA. Y'all, that's like the spike strip. Yeah, Speed. That's it, Cheryl. Speed, the movie Speed. I'm like, is this for real? The suspect was arrested after a standoff. Y'all, the hijacking comes after LA approved more than $5 million in emergency funding this year to add safety barriers protecting bus drivers from passengers, citing an uptick in assault. Yeah, that wasn't a movie, y'all. When I was reading these alerts, I was like, what in the world? So I had to go really find, like, there has to be a video. There has to be something. There are videos. Just go check it out. All right, y'all. I am so excited. Don't forget the rules, y'all. The moment you stop asking questions, the segment is over. But trust me, you want to ask a lot of questions. Today we have, I'm so excited. We have Dr. Kevin Hairston. Dr. Kevin S. Hairston is a pastor and author, motivational speaker, adjunct professor, leadership mentor, and pastor emeritus of Living Word Bible Fellowship in Columbus, Ohio. He is currently serving as a Southwest Regional Minister for American Baptist Churches of Ohio. With over 30 years of nonprofit and corporate experience, a native of Columbus, Ohio, Dr. Hairston graduated from Independence High School. Ooh. I'm just teasing you. I'm thinking East High School. That's the only one. That's the only great one here. Before going on to receive a degree in political science from The Ohio State University, he later earned his master's degree in theological studies from Trinity Lutheran Seminary, followed by his doctor of ministry from United Theological Seminary in Dayton, Ohio. He has served in various roles in leadership training and mentoring. He had the honor of serving as a dean for the Ohio Leadership Academy. He has been certified by John Maxwell Leadership as a trainer. His workshops and seminars have included training on diversity, women and people of color in leadership, biblical stewardship, and marriage. Over the last several years, he has authored several books: Marriage Boot Camp, Breaking Through the Glass Ceiling, Why Do Men Hide Behind Trees, Intentional Diversity, The Power of Forgiveness, Cradle Games, and Think Like a Woman, Act Like a Woman, and Lead Like a Woman. Among his community roles, he has served as executive director of several community development corporations, vice president of a real estate investment group, and statewide director for a national nonprofit organization. Dr. Hairston resides right here in Columbus, Ohio, with his amazing, brilliant wife, Mia, and their beautiful daughter, Kennedy. They love traveling. They're always in a warm place. I don't know what that is. They like rub it in. They like post them all the time. Like, stop it. He's a diehard fan of the Philadelphia 76ers and the Ohio State Buckeye football. Y'all, good morning, Kim Edmondson. Let's welcome Dr. Hairston to the platform. Woo woo, what's up?
What's up? What's up? It's good to be here. Thank you so much for that introduction and for having me here this morning.
Absolutely. I'm excited. We got to get started. They all know that this is what we call Town Hall Thursday. And I've just been watching your work and all that you've been doing. And I was like, I've got to get him on here. So, of course, I go to my husband, Kevin. I'm like, Kevin, can I get Dr. Hairston? He said, call him up. I said, but when you see him moving and in these circles, like, can I just call him up? He said, you have a relationship, call him up. So I called you
up. Always. Oh, for you and your husband, anything.
But I like to because you flowing. You are. I said he became pastor emeritus. I said I think he on his way to the White House. Like he's doing that kind of work.
Nah, I appreciate it. I'm blessed to the get an opportunity to as you mentioned before, being a graduate of East High School. We love Columbus, and I get a chance to serve. And I love my community. I love my people. I love doing things that God ordained situations where Gail, we've been blessed, so we get a chance to give back. And so I love this movement in this season of my life where God has allowed me just to be able to kind of be a vessel of just giving back.
Well, I love it. I want us to jump in. We call this Town Hall Thursday. There'll be questions, and hopefully there'll be questions coming from the community as well. And I want to start here. There have been disturbing claims made by political candidates suggesting that members of the Haitian community are eating cats and dogs. And I've recently seen you address some of this with other clergy. How can we as a community counter this false narrative and communicate the facts to others? There's a lot of lies out there. How do we deal with that narrative, that false narrative?
Well, the first thing is that, the first thing that we can do is we can really understand the truth of the narrative. And the reality is that we have political candidates who are literally making up stories as they go. Yeah. The great people of Springfield, wonderful city, an hour outside of Columbus, have some great people there. And they have a great migration of Haitian immigrants who've landed in the city and who have become productive citizens. I mean, they're here legally. That's the real narrative. And so when we hear stories about eating dogs and pets and, all kind of craziness that goes on there, the reality is that these individuals have moved into a community. They've become productive citizens. And yes, at the same time, there has been an overflow, so it has put a strong, a heavy hand on the resources of Springfield, in terms of schools and hospitalization and housing. But we're talking about a group of individuals who have migrated into a city and have become productive citizens. And so
Yeah.
we've got to change the narrative and get away from the lies. And as I was talking with some pastors in Springfield not too long ago, and one of the things that we pointed out is that these politicians have to reverse the conversations. We've seen them actually lean in to the degree that it's created a danger zone.
Yeah. Yeah. I see you're freezing up a little bit, but we're gonna keep going. I'm sure you'll come back in here. Hopefully you can still hear me.
In
Because it's
Springfield. I mean, they began to tell stories. They began to tell stories about just, being in dangerous communities.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Mhm.
when I hear that, I'm thinking about cultural sensitivity and what role can cultural sensitivity play in helping the Haitian community, and how can allies ensure that their assistance is respectful and informed by truth rather than rumors? Because there's a lot of rumors.
Yeah. Well, I think this is an example of where we've got to always be in a position of trying to get to know our neighbor, whether or not it's a Haitian community, whether or not it's an Asian community, the Latino community, even to a degree, the African American community. We have to be in the mind frame of getting to know our neighbor. And one of the things that we've seen take place in Springfield, there's a lot of wonderful stories that's out there. We've seen a number of residents lean into supporting Haitian businesses. And really from a church perspective, we've seen a lot of relationships that were already established increase to the degree we're doing worship services together, coming together, a real get to know you type of scenario, more so than people being fragmented in their own environments. And so I think, again, this scenario gives the world a bigger picture in terms of how do we get to know individuals who are outside the norm of our environment.
Yeah, so let me ask this, because sometimes as we get, Kim Edmondson says, so true, we need to be better neighbors.
Mhm.
Sometimes we get into a place where we, not that it's done intentionally, but the people we're trying to serve or help, they become our projects. And they're not our projects, no
Right.
matter who we're helping. How do we balance that so that we're not turning people or going to Springfield or sending material to Springfield so that they're not becoming our projects? Does that make sense? Am I making sense there?
No, that's a great observation, because the danger is because we move on to the next news cycle. And
Yeah.
so, one of the things that we got to incorporate is how do we have long-term relationships? If we haven't established them already, how do we build into that?
Yeah.
And again, I think when we look at this scenario with Springfield, of course, we want to be supportive in terms of helping the community that could have been either physically harmed,
Mhm.
financially harmed, emotionally harmed. I mean, so we have to lean into those type of resources. And that's one of the things that American Baptist is trying to do, is to say, hey, we want to underwrite some of the things that you guys are putting together. You're on the ground. You know exactly
Yeah.
where the need is, where the challenges are. And so we're trying to underwrite some of those concerns. But again, I think, as Kim pointed out, we got to get to know our neighbor. So we have to be able to identify, even in our community. If it's not Springfield, how do we identify in our community about better understanding the people around us who may not talk the same language? You know,
Yeah.
I got to be honest with you. I travel a lot, Gail. So I bought earphones that are literally translators, because I'm in a lot of environments
That's
where
good.
someone's speaking Spanish, someone's speaking Russian, someone's speaking Portuguese. I was talking to a lady one day, and I thought she spoke Spanish, and she said, "No, my native language is Portuguese." So I said, "All right, I got to flip my translator." I'm gonna make sure I get it right, And so, that's the world we live in. We got to better
Yeah.
understand, either that or take language classes all day long.
Right.
We've got to say, no, I can't make the assumption that you are required to speak English. I can't make the assumption that you're required to live exactly the way that I live, eat
Hmm.
my kind of food, talk my kind of talk.
Yeah.
We've got to be neighbors who lean in to get to know one another. And so I think that's what maybe the walkaway is from the Springfield situation.
So, and don't forget those who are tuning in. Make sure you are posting questions as we continue this conversation. So, when I think about pressing needs, because I was going to do this past Sunday, but I kind of like put it on pause because I didn't want to go into the situation blindly. So, I was going to go up to Springfield or go out to Springfield, should I say? I was going to go out to Springfield and support a Haitian restaurant and
Mhm.
some Haitian businesses. But then they were showing on the news how the long lines. So I don't even know if people were running out of food or running out of things because we're here to support. Is that the best way to do it? Or should we wait and get our cues from the Haitian community, especially when it comes to Springfield?
I think that's another great question. I think I would wait to get the cues, because I think, but I think your idea in terms of being able to go to Springfield and support local
Mhm.
businesses that are owned by Haitians or, other persons of color, I think it's a great idea. I think there may be an overwhelming sense,
Yeah,
from
that's
from
what.
from some of the which is a good thing. I mean, who's ever heard of like I got to turn customers down? I mean, so I think and I think that's a good sense. But I think again, what are we saying to those businesses a month from now? What are we saying to those businesses 4 months
Exactly.
from now when they still got to pay the rent, when they still got to pay employees? And so I think there has to be somewhat of a migration, slow migration, maybe physically to keep that support alive, but then at the same time look for cues. I know they put together a prayer service where they've had some other figures who came in to really support, and so the community came together, from a worship perspective. And I know there's a march that's going to be being planned, I think, in the next coming weeks. And so those are at least narratives that we can hear out loud and say, how can I join in and be a part
Right.
of that? But again, whether or not it's in Springfield or across our country, Haitian groups and other persons of color groups,
Yeah.
we've got to be able to be supportive of, because we may not hear the story of what's going on in Florida. We may not hear the story
Right.
of groups that are being impacted. I think there was one gentleman who stood up at a local rally who was biracial, and he talked about the impact that he had because they can't distinguish the fact that I'm African American mixed with Hungarian, and they think I'm Haitian. So
Right.
and
Right.
that's the story, Gail, that I heard when I was in Springfield, was that African Americans were being targeted because they lived in communities where Haitians lived. And so, the racist individuals
Mhm.
could distinguish. So they start targeting other groups. You
That's just
know,
crazy.
and
That's
it's
just Let me pick up some of these. Cheryl Owen says, I think this is indicative of our call to connect with all minorities and support them. That's exactly what you're saying. Not just
Mhm,
Springfield immigrants. We should support businesses here and welcome people as they move near us. Jackie is saying we have to be willing to stretch out of our comfort zones. Kim Edmondson, we could start by supporting those same restaurants and businesses in our own communities. Leah says, I'm connected. I'm concerned for the Haitian, and I got on my glasses and still messing up. I'm concerned for our Haitian children in schools who are receiving backlash.
mhm.
Are there any known efforts to help them that we can support? And I'm going to come back to that question and go to Deborah. She says, we need to make the extra effort to be aware of the needs of our neighbors and be prayerful of how we can help. So
Mhm.
all great. I agree with all of these.
Yeah.
Leah's wanting to know about this children in schools, which is a great segue to where we're headed. And are there any known efforts to help them that we can support?
Well, I know that they've had some safety concerns. I know that for a fact that even the governor has stepped in with the
Yeah.
National Guards and the local police. They stepped in to help protect these schools. We're getting bomb threats every single day. Matter of fact, I think that families, especially Haitian families, were apprehensive of sending their kids to school because of the danger that lied there. And so, because last time I was in Springfield, they actually had a plea from the superintendent to come back to school because people were staying at home. And so I think, right now, I think the biggest, contribution that we could make is being able to pray for them, and pray that these families can get back to some level of normality inside of their lives. I mean, the fact that, kids being able to get involved in their extracurricular activities, not just school, but being able to go to a friend's house down the street and know that it's safe. When I was there, one of the pastors indicated that one of his members' house got shot up, and he's not even Haitian. He's African American, and he said what they had noticed that evening was a truck with some mega paraphernalia on it driving up and down the street all evening. And so, my first thought was how do kids come out the house and play in the front yard if you have that level going on? So parents are concerned about safety measures. And so, like I said before, I think the government, the state of Ohio, has stepped in. So the best thing that we can do is support them from a prayer narrative in hopes that they can get back to a level of normality.
Okay. If I can ask this before I move on to education, and then into your book, we got to get to your book. Are there like 2 to 3 things that we can do, or what type of questions or conversations can we be having that helps change that false narrative? So if we live next to someone who's believing a lie, what can we do to help change that false narrative?
I think, for the most part, we can identify what the truth is, and speak out loud. I mean, I think some of the commentators that we see, in some of our news broadcasting, and even some of the politicians, are beginning to slowly change their language because they're realizing that it is a lie. I think they knew it from the beginning was a lie, but they're realizing the impact of the lie. And so the best thing that we can do is to live inside of truth. I mean, especially for those of us who are Christians, to be able to identify to somebody that is not the story of these individuals. And here's the long and the short, Gail, is that I think truth actually speaks to truth in the sense that, we don't put that type of stigmatization on other immigrant groups. We tend to see these politicians putting that type of lie on persons of color, groups who are coming in of color. And so, there's a pattern here. And so the best thing that we can do is we can dissect the pattern to go, why this group and not that group? Why these individuals? And then when you talk about the idea of legal and illegal immigration, we're talking about individuals who are legal immigration.
Right.
And so that messes with the narrative. And so I think the best thing that we can do is that when we're conversating, excuse me, even with those who are on the other side of the fence, is to say, here's the truth. And I need for you to tell me, how does that define the narrative? And then the truth is to be able to identify the positive stories of those individuals like this Haitian community who add to our citizenship, add to our communities, great people, business people, great work ethic. And so that really becomes the story. And so, we have to confront the lie with being able to tell the truth.
I like that. Thank you. So I do want to switch conversations just a tad bit. The candidate, Donald Trump, wants to dismantle the Department of Education. Before he was saying that he wasn't a part of Project 2025, but more and more he's now coming out talking about it. So he's on from his rally in Wisconsin. He came out and straight said that he wants to dismantle the Department of Education. And by the way, y'all, that's on page 2 of Project 2025, so you can read it for yourself. He talks about disruptions of funds. He's talking about getting rid of all these different type of grants and Title I for low income schools. And he just goes on and on and on and on and on, all the way back to 1979 under President Jimmy Carter, how essentially to consolidate federal educational programs. So he talks about, he's not into the, the conversation where it comes to marginalized groups and so forth. He just wants to dismantle it. So my question here is, what are some of the key areas where parents and community members can become effective advocates for public school students and for education as a whole?
I think that one of the things that we have to recognize that, as you pointed out throughout the duration of your show and you're a strong advocate of, is that we got to make sure we vote. We got to make sure that we don't allow an individual like this to come into an office, who in my opinion is just doing a dog and whistle show for his constituents, because the reality of being able to dismantle the Department of Education would set our country back from an educational perspective, because they have no solutions. They have no filling the gap for those things that the Department of Education oversees. And so, the best thing that we can do, again, is to make sure that we're voting. But then also, as parents and community leaders, we've got to be in an alignment with our public education system. We're all products of it. And so we have to attest that it's done a decent job. Can it get better? Most definitely.
Yeah.
Are there things that we need to do in terms of holding our school systems accountable to make sure that it's doing the job that it was supposed to be doing? Yes, most definitely. But we also have to recognize, again, when we're talking about truth, is that this system is not designed so that it can see the person of color or those living in urban school districts succeed. The system is designed actually to push back. That's why, Gail, there used to be a day and age, and here I am as a pastor, and I advocate for Christian teaching, but there was a day and age where we had a separation of state and religion. And so Christian schools, or at least Christian churches, would go out and create their own Christian schools, and parents who wanted to go that route had the choice to be able to go that route. Now we see where individuals want to use public funds to go that private route, and those private funds are taken away from a segment of a community that it was designed for. And as a community, we can't stand for that, because it only siphons what little bit of funds that we have, so that we can go so that the funds can go into a private sector. And so we've got to see the writing on the wall. We got to get involved as parents, as community activists, as leaders. Get involved with your local school right in your area. Get involved in your school district. Hold your teachers accountable. Hold the administrators accountable. Hold the superintendent and the board members accountable, and demand that they do the job that we've elected them to do.
Yeah, I'm very grateful for all the work that you're doing here in Central Ohio. And one thing that, I'm an empty nester, complete empty nester. So I'm still involved in the Olentangy School District.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that we pay taxes here. I don't believe we can separate from that. Mm-hmm. So what would you say to someone who has that mindset of, well, I'm an empty nester, I'm done, and they just back away? Because I think those of us who are now empty nesters are the ones who are constantly involved in the educational system. And as you're coming up with that, Davia says, the local politicians have asked the GOP presidential candidate not to come on Springfield, as his presence will likely inflame the situation and further drain resources. Do you think it would be helpful for VP Harris to come and visit? I'll let you answer that one. And then Marion also says, dismantling education will make it easy to manipulate a narrative where it will be harder to know the truth from a lie.
No, I think both of those are great observations. And to answer the question, Davia, I think that no, I don't think Vice President Harris should come either, because I think it does. I think the city right now is taxed, and even with state resources in terms of trying to protect. I mean, they're getting bomb threats every day, and so they have to use the National Guard to be able to patrol government buildings, school buildings. And so when you have these candidates come in, especially candidates that bring a negative rhetoric, I think you do. You're moving resources over from one area to the next area. And while we're sitting there talking about what can we do for the community, we're not doing much if we're not protecting them. And so I think that's why you see even the governor and some of those individuals, the mayor of Springfield, stepping up and going, hey, please don't come. But again, I think when you see those national candidates, some will say, okay, we get it, and I think Vice President Harris is saying that, but then we get other candidates such as Donald Trump who want to defy the system, who don't want to be told not to come. And so, we've got to let it play out. But I think that's an example of a person who looks after their own self-interest. But again, going back to I think your illustration about being an empty nester is a great perspective. Our daughter has graduated school. So, but I think I'm more concerned about my school district if I had a child in the school district, because I believe that each one of the children, no matter, even if we're empty nesters, we should have a concern about a child's education and that impact on their lives and their families' lives. But not just from that perspective, Gail. This is what I share even with the people who live in my community. I go, you ought to be concerned because you're a taxpayer. You ought to know where your tax money is going. And then here's the most craziest thing. You ought to know, because if they're not doing the job that they're supposed to be doing, that's where your money's going. But then they have the audacity, and trust me, they will. Gail, your school district, my school district, and everybody on here, their school district will come back and ask them for tax levies, bond issues that increases taxes. So even though we're empty nesters, you don't get out the game.
We don't get out the game.
You don't get out the game. And matter of fact, I don't care where you live. I told somebody the other day, I don't care where you live. Look at your tax bill. I don't care how much money you make. Look at your tax bill, because the reality is it's going up. And so you should be concerned. You should, because when I'm talking to school officials, Gail, I say it to them as if I try to talk the same business language that we would talk if we're on the job. And I said to them, you're asking the investors to invest more money into a product that's going downhill.
That's it.
And then get mad when I ask about it, And so,
that is so true.
Yeah, and so I shared with them. I said, as an investor, I want to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Now, does it mean that I don't maybe, need a recall sometime on my car? Yeah, but I want to make sure when it comes off the line that I don't have to worry about it. I'm not in danger of it running into the wall. I'm not into that self-driving mode just yet, but that makes me nervous because it might get a mind of its own, So I want to be able to navigate my stuff, but I want to at least know that it run. But if it's falling off the assembly line by the time you delivering it, and you mad because I asked about what's the problem, that ought to say something.
And go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. So no matter at what segment of our lives, I was gonna just reiterate your position, you and Dr. Dudley's position, is that we never it never changes because we're continuously paying tax money.
We're continuously, and that's why I think it's also, and I've drilled this in. I know my viewers are sick of me, but it's not just the presidential election we should be voting for. We should be voting for the local elections, the school board members, the commissioners, every piece of the puzzle. We need to go out and vote, and that sometimes is the lowest turnout. This has been amazing. I can keep going, but I want to talk about your book.
Yeah, right.
You have a book out called "The Deacon's Daughter: A Small Town Tragedy." I love the cover. I love the book. Let us know a little bit about the book, how they can buy the book. And I want all of you on here that's tuned in right now. There's 423 on audio, and there are 19. I'm sure there's more here. The numbers are really weird on YouTube. Who's actually viewing it. So talk about your book and how can we get a copy?
I appreciate it. Let me just say this before I go in. You can get a physical copy from kevinhairston.org, www.kevinhairston.org, and you can get a physical copy of the book. And within about 30 days, the book is going to come out on audio. So you'll be able to get it on audiobooks and iTunes or Apple, all those type of venues. You'll be able to listen to it from an audible standpoint. But Gail, I get asked a question sometimes, and I don't say this. Please don't take me egotistically or narcissistic. But people say, what's your favorite book? And I go, whatever book is like the newest book. But I really, really love this book. Most of the books I've written in the past have been either spiritual or Christian aligned or some type of self-help. I believe in trying to really push us, to be the better of ourselves. But this book was a dream. And I had this idea like several years ago where I wanted to tell the story because I love stories that have a real sense to them. I love historical stories. I love things that, just have that sense of realness to them. And so I wanted to tell a story that was time based. This takes place in 1952. And I wanted it to be a love story, but I wanted it also to mirror the era that was in. It was down south. It's a racial climate, but there's love in the air. But you can't have all those things mixed in without some type of drama and, as my
Yeah.
editor would say, some murder. And so, so you got to
Gotta
mix
have
all that in.
conflict. You gotta have
You got to
conflict.
have conflict, and so without doing it, I wanted to tell a story as we see, like even sometimes the Netflix series, where one piece builds on the next piece.
Mhm.
And because if any of you like me, I mean, and I'm sure Gail, you're like this, and many of the listeners are like this. The last thing I want to do is I want to go to a movie where I know exactly what happens in the first 5 minutes. Especially, and I gotta be honest with you. Me and my wife might have date night, and we go into the movie, and I done dropped about $50 on some tickets, another $100 on some popcorn and some drinks. Yeah, the last thing I want to do is know what the movie is in the first 5 minutes. I'm $150 in. Look, let me get to the end. And so that's how I wrote the book. I wrote the book with the sense of a whodunit. And I want to take you all the way to the end so you can figure out, because when you think that it might be this character, it turns out you're gonna go, oh no,
I
wait a minute.
love it. I gotta get a copy.
Yeah, and because I wrote it the way that I like movies. I mean, I wanted the reader to feel that same vibe. And so I appreciate, man, if those of you are out there, man, go grab a copy. I promise you this is going to be a good read. It's not a hard read, but it's a good read, and I think you definitely will enjoy it.
I love that. I love that. So listen, all of you, y'all know what I say, and we gotta support our people. Buy yourself a copy and then get another copy because the holidays are coming up. And so, or you have a group of 5 girlfriends, boyfriends that you hanging with, get all of them a copy, then have a book conversation around the book. Who knows? The author may show up and sign the book and have the conversation with you. So please go to Amazon today. As soon as this show is over, go to Amazon, or you can go right here to kevinharrison.org. The ebook comes out when?
That audio book is going to come out at the probably within the next 30 days, but they can get a hardcover or a soft cover right now on the website, and we'll make sure. And anyone who says, man, they want a copy signed or show up at a group or leave a review, I love to hear your thoughts about it.
Leave a review. I don't think people understand that we need those reviews. It helps the algorithm and it helps it going. So y'all can get a copy at www.kevinharrison.org. I hope I spelled that right because I was doing it with one hand as you were talking. Please get a copy. Now, I know you, Pastor Emeritus, and all, and I always end the segment with the inspirational message. I know you got a word for us to get through the weekend. So I'm going to turn it over to you to give us a word before we get out of here. Again, I just want to say thank you for joining me today. I was so excited, so pumped. Kevin will tell you, I was like, Kevin Harrison's and I love everything you shared with us. And y'all, I want us to really begin changing that false narrative when it comes to people of color and what other people are saying. Find a way not to get into an argument, do our listening, but also be honest, be bold, be confident, and share the truth. So I'm going to turn the screen over to you as you give us a word before we get out of here.
Now, Ms. Gail, I want to say personally, thank you for what you do and what you represent. Thank you for having me on your show. I love this. I love everything that you do and Dr. Dudley does. I mean, you guys are my favorite people. I'm cheering way out in the bleacher sections for all the things that you guys are a part of. I love your story, and I love the fact that we've all known each other for so long, seeing what God is doing inside of our lives. And to all of those who are watching and listening, I want to encourage you, to be the best that you possibly can be. Sometimes we hear stories that's going on in Springfield, and we hear stories that are really, tearing down each other. But I believe that when we lean into the truth of who we are and we start believing in self, that we can be. I'm a young man who grew up in a modest middle class household. And when I went to school, they were telling us to go to the career center or perhaps get type of jobs where we can work 9 to 5. But my parents said, look, believe in yourself and be the best that you can possibly be. And even after going to school and messing up and getting kicked out of college, I remember having a conversation with God and said, God, if you give me a second chance, I promise this time I'm going to get it right. And God gave me a second chance, and I went back to school and allowed me to be able to pursue my academic journey. And I always comment to people, I say the same school system that told me that I was mediocre, the same school system that tried to pull some of us to the side and tell us that we couldn't do it. And they said it in a subtle way without coming out and just saying it. That same school system invites me and asks me my influence and my opinion about what they should do. And so it just reminds me that when we build into self and when we love self and when we find God, we can be the best of who we can be, despite what's going on inside of our lives. Despite what my employer says, despite what my neighbors say, despite what even the person that might be sitting next to me is thinking about, that the truth of the matter is I am somebody, I can do it, and I can be the best because God's designed this one purpose inside of my life, and that is to live the best life that is in front of me. So I would encourage you, keep the faith as we all continue to keep in touch. Ms. Gail, thank you so much, and God bless each one of you.
Motion.